Well, hello and welcome to Successful and Sought After, a podcast hosted by Reflect the Dream School of Acting. And I'm your host, Kelsey Jimenez, the founder and CEO of Reflect the Dream. And today is another live interview. And my guest today, y'all, she wears so many hats. I didn't even really know how to describe her, but I'm gonna share them all. I mean, she is a Sundance award-winning actress. She's been an assistant director, a producer, writer. She's also a screenwriting coach. She is a CEO. She's a dog mom, and she is a host of her very own podcast channel called Film Broad. See, which is really for those who are, interested in writing, producing, and starring in their own projects and what to do once your film is done. So welcome, Miss Emily Grace. Welcome to the channel.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, me too. It's always a good time. Okay, so Emily, yes, as you just heard, you have many titles, but I would just love to kind of give you the opportunity to tell us, who are you, Emily Grace? How would you describe yourself?
Like existential crisis now. Who am I? Who am I?
Who are you? Who am I?
I'm human first.
Yes.
I've hearing you list all the hats that I wear, I was like, wow, I really do do a lot of stuff. I like to generate a lot of my own things, and especially as I'm aging, like the privilege of aging, there also just comes with a lot of, I don't know, growth and understanding of things that I was really blind to as a younger person. And just having gone through a lot of loss over the last couple of years, it's just, I'm in a place now where I really want to cultivate love to the people that come into my orbit and make them feel seen and heard and like safe. I just think artists, especially, and actors, especially, we're delicate. We can be very delicate. And I love to make stuff and generate, and you can do it. And I'm just, because I was looking at some of your questions ahead of time, like who are the mentors that influence you? And one of my mentors, like one of the very influential people from my early 20s, just passed away like over the weekend. I mean, she was in her, she was lived a great life, and I haven't talked to her in a long, long time, but I was like, it's just flooding me back to who I used to be in my 20s, and this ambitious, like filled with possibility. And I'm going to push this boulder up the mountain, and just all of this like energy of generating stuff, to where I am now in my 40s, where I'm like, I just want the people in my life to know that I love them. Just want people to feel loved. And yeah, I like doing all this other stuff, and that feels good and exciting, but I don't know who I am right now. I'm in this weird place in my life, I guess.
Oh my goodness. Wow. It sounds like just a year of growth, Emily, even though the year has just started. It seems like
Many years. Yeah, it's been like years of growth.
So Emily Grace, she is a woman searching for love. That's who you are.
No,
Love,
I'm not. No, I'm not searching for love. I want to cultivate love.
cultivating
I
love.
want
Okay.
you to feel loved.
I see. Okay. So yes, out there.
I'm
Get that
married. I've
wrong.
got love, but
Oh yes,
I want to cultivate
she's a married
love.
woman. Okay, guys. So sorry. You're right. We should correct that. You're not searching for love. You're mistaken. Cultivating love. Oh gosh, Emily. Okay, well then, out of all the many hats that you do wear, what would you say maybe is your favorite right now in this season of your life?
I mean, I love mentoring people. So I work with people who want to write and produce their own films, and I love I really love the community that gets developed around that, like people who think like that and want to do things like that. So one of my students who developed her script in the program just produced her short last weekend, 2 weekends ago. And I applied to be the producer on it because I love the script so much. You know, it was just like a really special story that I really resonated with on a personal level. And I loved I loved being part of that project from when it was an idea to now it's in the can and we're talking about post production and the edit, and like I just love shepherding people through through the valley of like writing and making their own stuff, because there was a lot of obstacles you could hit along the way. um, but I'm also, I started out as an actor and I took a long time away from acting because I was busy building my business and just busy with other things. And always, I always consider myself an actor. I don't think you're not an actor if you're not acting every day. Like I will always
Mhm.
consider myself an actor. And I feel like that part of myself has kind of been stagnating. And I'm making a film. Actually, later this summer, I'll be producing my own film that I wrote that I'll be in. So I haven't been,
Wow.
yeah, I'm excited. I'm really
Oh,
excited.
wow. That sounds so exciting.
It's exciting. And because my teacher just passed away, this was like,
Yes.
she was really instrumental to my growth as an actor, that I was like, oh, that part of me has been missing. And
Mm,
I really feel like even though I focus most of my time on running my business and writing scripts and producing stuff like that, I do feel like my first love is and has always been acting, and that hasn't changed, even though I haven't been making that a priority.
mm-hmm.
So I'm excited for that, to get back on that
Ooh,
routine.
okay, that's so exciting. Wow, Emily. Well, as you guys can hear, there's already, you kind of just described so many hats you're wearing all at
Yeah,
once. So,
all the
like,
hats.
you guys hear all that she's doing. It's so amazing. So Emily, tell us, like, I always love asking this question when I interview anyone in this industry, because this is a crazy industry to get into. It's a wild ride. And just as you said, it's one that you never know where it's going to take you, and you never know
Yeah.
what's going to come back to life. So, like, why, Emily, why did you decide to even get into this career of film and television?
I don't know if I really did decide. I think I just came that way. Like I just came that way.
Yeah,
Uh
it decided you.
when I was young, I was raised by a single mom, but she made a point to have arts be part of our lives.
Okay.
And she took me and my sister to this audition. I think it was for Annie, maybe. I can't remember what it was for, but I was maybe 4 or 5, and my sister was 3 years older. And I was like so ready to get this part and like be up there and singing and dancing during this audition. And then they spent the whole time coaching my sister on her audition. And I
Oh.
was like, they don't understand. I'm supposed to be up there, not her.
Oh.
So, and she didn't want to be an actor, right? Like she was really cute and blonde, and like she was very, very cute as a child. So I'm sure they wanted the cutest child to be on stage. But I was like, I should be up there. Like from that age, that was the moment where
Yeah.
I decided. So I think I just kind of came that way.
Mm-hmm. It was just always meant to be. Yeah.
Yeah, on my podcast, usually I don't do interviews, but I interviewed someone for the first time who has nothing to do with film, but he was talking about how much he loved film and film inspired him to go into the military. And I was like, oh, there's two types of people. there's the one person that watches the film and gets inspired to do the thing the film is about, and then there's another person that's like, I want to be in the film. And that was me. Like, I'm not going to go join the military because I watch a movie. I'm going to go make a movie, right?
Yes. Wow. I've never thought of it the other way where you would, watch
Right.
a movie because that was not me. I when I would watch a movie, it was like I wanted to learn all the aspects of it. I wanted to know like how do they design those costumes and the makeup and how do they get to those emotions and then I wanted to recreate those
Yeah.
moments, those scenes. But that's interesting. So he watched it and he was inspired to join the army.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. See what movies do. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's the power of film. Either you're
Yeah.
going to like change your life, like, and take on the career of the character, or you're going to be someone who's playing the character. Like, you fall into one of those two camps.
Yes. Wow. So okay, so Emily, you've been in this industry for what, 20 years? 20
Little more,
ish?
probably a little more. A little
Well,
more.
okay, 20-ish, 20 plus
20,
years.
20,
And
whatever.
yeah, and you have had some amazing opportunities to work in front of the camera, behind the camera. I mean, all these different roles. But what would you say, like, share with us some of your favorites, some of your most memorable projects that you've been a part of, whether they're big, whether they're small, and sometimes even the smallest ones can make an impact. So share with us and tell us
Yes.
why.
I mean, in most recent history, this film that we just produced a couple weeks and weekends ago was like one of the most magical experiences I've had. Um, it just like there were just all these serendipities with everyone on the creative team and like this is I think your audience will resonate with this. You know the like book of birthdays and book of relationships. Do you know that book series?
The book. Oh,
Let me
no, I
see.
don't.
There's this great. I wonder if I have it.
I
I
was
don't
thinking,
know.
like, your birth book. I was like,
Yeah, so there's the author that made like the book of birthdays and the book of relationships. There's like this other book called the Book of Destiny, and so it's like about your life path based on your birthday.
oh,
And
wow. Okay.
so the writer producer of the film brought that to set, and we're all like looking through it, and it's like phrases I've said are like literally in the book about my life path. And it was like the same for everyone on the creative team. It just was like all these magical serendipities falling into place. And then we had an all female and femme identifying crew, which was very special. Um, sometimes you're in projects and there's just weird attitude or pissing contests and egos flying, and it was nothing like that. It was just a really powerful, amazing experience. I mean, of course there's challenges, like things went wrong. Things went wrong. But it was like on a behind the scenes experience. On the producing side, it was just very seamless and amazing, supportive women coming together to make this really special film. So on the recent side, I would say that's the one that stands out. And you know, I hear this time and time again, like it's not always going to be like that. Like, don't get used to this. Like, it's not always going to be special. I've had many special experiences. Like most of the stuff that I've worked on has only been good, like good
Yeah.
experience. But
Yeah.
definitely, the first film I ever did was the one that went to Sundance and won an award at Sundance. And that was just like an incredible moment for me. It was my first, like, it was my first feature. It was my first lead. I was in every scene. So the fact that it won like an award for emotional truth felt like
Wow.
due to my work in the film. Like it just was very gratifying as an actor. And it also came at a time when, you know, you have those moments in your acting life where you just know you're doing great work. Like you just know it, you feel it from the inside. And it's so like, you know, you do a scene in class and then you're like, what just happened? Like you almost don't have,
Yes.
because you were so just connected and
Yes.
unplanned. And, you know, the whole film was kind of like that experience for me. And it was a really amazing first experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those would be two that are some of my favorites.
Okay. Man, I almost want to ask a couple questions about that,
Yeah,
Emily.
go ahead.
Talk about the importance of, I don't know if it's like listening to your heart or that intuition, like those, because you just shared like those projects. It's what felt good to you. Like it almost, when you were describing how amazing the production was and how good it was, and people want to say, oh, you know, don't always expect that, but it's like, well, why not? Why can't that be our ultimate truth? Why can't it be always an amazing, enjoyable experience, not only for me but for everyone involved? And then obviously your first, you know, your big role, which gave you that Sundance award winning, you know, actress hat, that was so monumental, and obviously you got to probably display emotions and connect in such beautiful ways. Like, how important is that for young actors to, I guess, follow their heart and to seek those projects that they really want to be a part of? Like, I don't really know the question there, but it's like maybe some actors, they want to, they want to get famous, they want the big part, they're willing to take whatever. But I guess what would your advice be on waiting for those projects, those moments that move you, that you really enjoy, or trusting that those opportunities are there, or I don't know, makes me even think of what you do as a screenwriting coach. You know, your how to write your dream role. Maybe you, even if you segue into that, I just
Yeah.
say.
What's coming up as you're talking, I think there's a couple of things going on. Um, you know, one is just the clarity of what kind of work
Yes.
you're interested in as an actor, because under the umbrella of actor there's all kinds of work. There's all kinds of tones and genres and commercials and TV and film and music. You know, there's a ton of different categories that you could fall into. So I think part of it is like being really clear with
Yes.
yourself about what resonates with you and what doesn't.
Yes.
You also, you know, they that saying like luck is opportunity meets preparation. You
Mm-hmm.
do There is a level of like readiness that I think is
Mm-hmm.
essential, so that when an opportunity comes along you don't have to get ready for it, you're already ready for it, in terms of whatever makes you feel confident in your acting
Yeah,
abilities. And
that's good.
you know, the Sundance film like shouldn't have happened that way. It wasn't a conventional, it was magical, right? Like I was talking about this film that I just produced that was magical. Like I believe in like being in, when you're in alignment with yourself from an internal level, and you're pairing that with external actions that are aligned, things come to you in ways that you couldn't have planned.
Yes.
So that film came to me because I was in a showcase, like not a great showcase, by the way. It was like a showcase in New York for like invited industry. That was the point of it. And I almost didn't do it. I almost wasn't going to do it. But I did. And I did the good work because that's, you know, I want to do good work, even if I don't love the project.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the industry people in the audience cast for background. That was her title at the time. And so I was like the dutiful actor. I got all of the cards of everyone that came to the showcase, and I did my follow-ups with everyone. And I almost wasn't going to reach out to her because I was like, ugh, background. I don't want to do that. Like, I'm beyond background at this point, was kind of my attitude. But I was like, no, I'll just do it. I'll just follow up.
Wow.
She happened to be really good friends with this screenwriter who was casting a feature like that summer in the window of me having
Oh my
had her
God.
come to my showcase. And so I followed up with her, and she had been hired by him to cast this feature. And she
Wow.
called me and said, "Oh, I've been meaning to reach out to you because I have this role I think you might be right for." She's this plain girl from New Hampshire, which is where I'm from. And as soon as she said that, I was like the magic is go. I was
Wow.
like, this is it. Like, I'm going to book this. This is it. This is it. So it was like, I didn't have an agent, I didn't have representation at that time. It wasn't because I went on an audition. It was like, I did this showcase and then I did my work to follow up. And that's what led to the audition. And then I had to go through multiple hoops for them to actually cast me after that. But I was in, this acting teacher that was studying with who recently passed away. Like, I was in that environment where I was like, oh, I can handle this. I can handle whatever they throw at me and I'm ready. And I just was in a place of alignment where like nothing could throw me off my game. And so I can't remember what I was answering, but it's a
No, you you answered both of the questions I was going to ask.
oh
I
great.
wanted to know, how did the opportunity to audition for the Sundance, this movie, how did that happen? And so you totally answered that. I was like, look at this. She's so good. I was so going to ask that. And I love that you were in a workshop, right? And that you did your due diligence. You followed up, right?
Yeah.
Even with the extra, the background work, right? Dude, that's so awesome. That's so powerful because you never know who's in the room.
You
You
never
never
know.
know what they're going to see you. Yes, she may be looking for background work, but she also has multiple projects and
Yeah.
multiple people. It's networking. It's using
Yeah.
your resources, and you use them well. And look what it got you. That is so cool. I love that. And then just kind of the first kind of question or comment I had, getting really clear on what you really want. There's power in that when you get clear on what your focus is and how you want to leave your mark in this industry. I love how you said that, and making sure you're ready. There is a sense of that when you feel it. It's a confidence. It's that inner confidence
Yeah.
that, man, it's almost like you gotta know it, right? You have to know I'm ready. And it's kind of a question sometimes I ask actors, when I'm, looking to maybe enroll them in my school. It's a question I find myself wanting to ask, are they ready? Um, but a lot of times if they get to that point where they're seeking a coach, or even when you're meeting actors, if they're seeking you out, it's almost, I almost believe they are ready. Like, they already are ready to do this. They really are, because we may never think we're ready, or there's not going to be this moment where it's like you get a stamp and like, or whatever, a seal of approval. You are officially ready. It's like you were presented with this opportunity, Emily, and you were ready, and you did it. That's awesome. I love that. That's so good. Okay, so that kind of leads to my next question. So you didn't have representation at that time, but I'm sure at some point you begin to seek representation or a manager of some sort. Can you kind of walk us through that, Emily? Like, what were the steps on seeking representation? Talk about, joining the union. Yes, or should you not? Kind of walk us through, because then I'm sure all these things were presented to you, right? And what did you do with it?
You might not like my answer.
No, I wanted to ask you.
I think it's important. I think this is really probably was like the impetus for why I started my own business, was because of
Yes.
what happened after the Sundance film. Um, so I didn't have representation. I got this film on my own. and we won an award at Sundance,
Amazing. That's so cool.
and I could not get representation to save my life.
What?
Yeah, I didn't, at that time, I was very certain that I had done enough.
Yeah.
And like people were going to start coming to me and that my talent would speak for itself. And I really didn't understand a
Wow.
few things of the business. One is just like branding in general,
Okay.
or just how much follow up I could have and probably should have done to
Okay.
get representation after that. I had a couple of meetings, but they weren't interested. They just weren't interested. And I think part of it was like I didn't know how to package myself. I didn't know how to present myself in an agent meeting.
Okay.
They didn't teach that at NYU. And this was like, there's all these coaches and classes and acting career coaches and things that exist now. It was like a
Yeah.
baby industry then. There was only Capes Coaching was like the only place that did that stuff. And I
Okay.
didn't really know about them until like after the hot streak had cooled off. So I had a couple meetings. Nobody wanted to sign me, and that was just kind of that. And then I finally had an agent that I had talked to, and a couple months later they came back and were like, oh, I had a loss in my family and I just was like out of my mind, but we want to move forward with you. And so that eventually I did get an agent. And especially then when I was very new to the business and very like I'm an actor, like wasn't I didn't want to know about the business, right? I wanted my team to like deal with all that stuff for me. um
Yeah.
thought, oh, I have an agent now, and like I'm done. Now I just wait for them to call me, and auditions are gonna
Yeah.
come rolling in, and I'm a fucking Sundance Award winner, and I've been in the magazines, and like
Yeah.
shit's just gonna like blow up now.
Yeah. That's
And it didn't. It didn't. It was, well, I had maybe a handful of auditions with them over like a couple of years. It just didn't, like, nothing happened. And I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing. And so, the entertainment industry is very like you're hot and then you're not. And if you don't know how to like capitalize on when you're hot, it runs out, like the hotness runs out. And then you're kind of like back to where you were before. So I just, it was a huge learning lesson for me, but I had no one really guiding me through it on how I could have or should have like done things differently. And I think that is a huge part of what inspired me to become an entrepreneur, because I felt like what the fuck? Like this is wrong. What am I missing? I'm missing something essential, and I can't be the only one who's missing this.
no.
And I think that's probably what inspired me to start my own business. And I think it opened my eyes. Like I've always been in my acting class, I was like, let's produce a showcase. I've just always been sort of like generating opportunities and generating stuff. So the idea to me of like just having some agent that may or may not be sending me out and like waiting for some auditions to come along, it just didn't appeal to me. Like that's why I love helping people, whether you're an actor or you're not an actor, like create their own films, because you don't have to wait to get picked. You don't have to wait until your credit blows up and then you're on a hot streak and can make stuff happen. Like you can just do it. You can just go direct and do it yourself. And it's something that matters to you. If you've ever acted in a shitty project, like it feels bad. It feels like, why am I doing this with my life? It brings up a lot of doubt and like pain and questioning. Um, so this is an opportunity for people to like write stuff that matters to them, that they're invested in. But so, like it came out of like a huge kind of unrealized expectation and big disappointment that also made me feel like I don't ever want to be I don't ever want to feel like I have to wait for someone to like get me or pick me
Oh
to be
yeah.
able to do the things that I love. So that's, I think, what started all of what I do now. And then it's just evolved a few times over the year in terms of how I work with people. And right now it's like making and producing films.
Yeah. Wow, Emily, thanks for sharing that with us. I didn't know the, you know, you're really your testimony, like what really led you to really to become the Emily Grace that I know,
Yes.
you know, which I want to talk about that. I want to give you a moment to kind of share with my audience what it is you do because I believe it's amazing.
Thank
I
you.
love what you do, Emily. And I also want to tell you, I have my master's of fine arts and I was taught the same thing. I was taught to believe that once I get an agent,
Mhm.
I just sit back and relax. Like
Right.
they're gonna take care of it and I'm just
Yeah.
gonna sit back and the auditions are gonna roll in. It still blows my mind that in all my 8 years of schooling, I was never taught the business. I mean, not
Yeah.
one class. It wasn't even brought up. Um, this idea that the world revolves around actors, it's so true. Like, that's what I thought. I didn't think I needed to know anyone else in the industry. Like, why should I care? Why does it
Yeah.
even matter? But in fact, it does.
It
And
matters.
um, educating myself on that, it's just like, wow, it blows my mind. And so I try to do a good job on educating my actors on the who's who in the industry. Like, you need to know who these people are. Like, who is the AD and who is the grip? I didn't even know who these people were, and that just blows my mind. And the power of branding and networking, and that you're the boss, and just so much. So
Yeah.
you're not alone, Emily. Um, Man, it's almost like, what what would you tell yourself if you could go back, be like, okay, you like, yeah, what advice would you give young Emily who was super hot? What would you tell her?
I think because obviously I've put thought into this.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Break up with that guy. He's dragging you down.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. I was in a very toxic relationship at the same time.
Oh wow.
And that very much derailed a lot of stuff I was in the
Mm-hmm.
relationship by choice. So I would say break up with that guy.
Okay.
He's like in the way.
Mm-hmm.
It's dragging you down.
Okay.
I think I probably would have moved to LA right after Sundance instead of staying in New York. I would have gone to LA, and because there was someone, I think she was a manager that was quite interested in me, but she was like, if you're not in LA, like we can't really do this. I think I
Mm.
probably would have gone to LA to while I was on this hot streak and gone from there.
Gotcha. Was it the boyfriend kind of holding you back, maybe in New York?
Probably.
Okay.
Just everything about
But that
that
was,
was
and look how
really
that was your first step. Like, break up with him,
break up with
gone
him.
free.
Yes.
Follow with
Yeah.
that lead, risk it all, and just go for it.
And I think I also would have, because I don't like to like talk about it because I don't want him to like manifest in my space. Um, but we were at Sundance together, which I think was also a mistake because all this like relationship stress was clouding the experience instead of me being there like in my
Mm,
own power in my own space to build relationships while I was there. That's another thing I would have done a lot more intentionally.
mm,
Yeah, so
that's
don't be in a
good.
bad relationship when
Yeah.
your moment comes.
Yes. And to, I almost hear like, to be selfish too. Like, this is
Yeah,
your
like this is
moment.
your moment. You got to take it.
Yes. And if there are people around you can't see that, and either like drop them
Yeah.
or
Don't let them
like
come to the festival
that's
with
on
you.
them. Like yeah, like you can't control their feelings, and so if they get their feelings hurt, but just you kind of have to be selfish a little bit. You got to
Yeah.
take your spotlight and you got to shine bright. I mean, we're in that industry too.
Yeah.
Like you got to own it. Okay, well, I am very happy that you created such beauty out of ashes, Emily, and you
Thank
really
you.
turned this for good. And you're on a wonderful mission to make sure that doesn't happen to others, and how to generate those opportunities for yourself. That way you're not just waiting by the phone or, waiting for the email. So let's talk a little bit about that. Like, you help actors or non-actors, right? Write really their dream roles. So what's the benefit of actors learning how to write their dream roles? Tell us.
Well, you get to be the lead.
Yes. Yes.
Like,
Duh, you get
hi.
to be the star.
You get to be the star. Yeah, so I help actors. I help anyone who wants to learn how to make a film, like filmmakers. I think more recently, I'm really zeroing in on people who want to be filmmakers.
Mm-hmm.
And if they happen to be actors, that's great. But I want to help people start building like a body of work that is their vision for their career. And so the benefits are, this film that I just produced recently was written by someone in my program who's an actress.
Okay.
It was based on a really deeply personal experience that she went through. I can say it publicly. She was on my podcast. Um, she went trigger warning. There's a trigger warning. She experienced a sexual assault
Yes.
several years
I
ago.
listened to that episode.
And this film, what did you say?
I said I listened to that episode, so I
Okay.
will
Oh,
play like
you're okay.
I think
Got
I
it.
know it. You could I
Yes,
feel
yes. So she, it was two things. It's part of her empowering herself to turn that experience into a film that can resonate and be powerful and empower other people who
yes.
have gone through something like that. And it's also a way for her to empower herself as an actress by putting herself in this lead role, building her credits as a producer and screenwriter. And the goal is to go to the festival circuit, which is, even though I didn't do the best job my first festival circuit, the festival circuit is an amazing place to make connections. I think actors, especially, get so myopic in terms of their vision of like casting directors and agents.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many other people that you can build connections with, other filmmakers, other screenwriters, and you can meet all of those people at film festivals. And it's an amazing way to build your network. And making a film is an incredible way to build your network of collaborators. And then, a Katie, whose film I just produced, is now going to be the producer on my film. And so we're like, our network is coming along for the ride
Yeah.
to do multiple projects together. So there's a ton of benefit in it. It's not just you making one project, although that is huge. I think just the confidence level that you achieve when you understand screenwriting from a writer's perspective, it makes you a better actor because you understand how to break down scripts and you understand what the writer's intention was when you pick up your audition sides.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it also, you get to invest your time into a story that you care about. It's not someone else's project where you're just this cog in the wheel and you show up for a day. And because you're not like number one on the call sheet, you're kind of like treated like not great. It's your project, it's your vision. And once you learn how to write and make a film, it's like you can do it again and again for the rest, as many times as you want, as many projects and ideas and stories that you want to tell. So I find it to be a very empowering exercise for anyone. But it also it elevates you as an actor because you have something to bring to agents and casting directors. You have something to post about on social. You can land your own press. You know, there's a ton of stuff that you can do around your own project that I find a million times more satisfying than when I was just pursuing acting and like waiting for an audition and like, did you submit me? And like checking my email and just waiting and waiting and waiting for someone to like give me an opportunity.
Wow.
It just changes your mindset completely to like, I'm driving this forward.
Yes.
I'm empowered. This is my vision. And then you build a team of people around you to help you realize that, which is
Yes.
such a better experience, I think,
Yeah.
than like, please pick me. I hope you like my work and I get the job. Like it doesn't have to be that way.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Emily, that's what I was connecting with. Like the power behind, like you are holding the vision. It's, man, it reminds me of an interview I just watched with Matthew McConaughey, and he's writing a book. He's already written a book, but I forget how he said it, but he just talked about how this book has really empowered him because it's the first time in his life that he has a voice. Because as an actor,
Right.
he talks about there's so many layers that it goes through. Like,
Yeah.
I come in, but then it goes through the director, it goes through the producer, it goes in the editing process.
Yeah.
He was just discussing all these different layers to where it's really not. I mean, yes, there's elements of what he has brought in as the actor and the character, but there's all these other people that come in
Yeah.
and slice and dice it, and they make the choices. But with this book, he's like, I got to say whatever I wanted to say. There was nobody coming in and
Yeah.
editing or taking things out, and it's really changed him, and he's gone on to like create a course about it. It's way to go, Matthew McConaughey. A little plug for him. But it's yes, that's so good. I mean, that's half the reason why I wanted to have my own school. I was
Yeah.
working for other art schools and universities, and they were telling me what I had to teach and cutting things
Right.
out and
Yeah.
critiquing me and coming in and all the pressure. And I just wanted to do what I wanted to do and teach the tools and inspire and just really have the freedom to hold my vision and work with similar, like-minded dreamers.
Yeah.
So this is so awesome, Emily. Can I didn't ask before this interview, but I'm hoping you'll say yes. Can I share your quiz, like your
Yeah.
what?
I would love you to share the
Yeah,
quiz.
tell us a little bit about. I want you to share like what you're up to, a little bit about your podcasts, whatever you want to share with that. The film broad series. You do it a lot better than me. And you have this awesome quiz. We can find our superpower,
Screenwriting superpower. Yeah.
screen power,
Yeah.
screenwriting superpower. Yes, guys, and we all have one. I found mine, and it's like, guys, it was so
What
good.
was your result?
Oh, I knew you were gonna ask me.
I'm gonna
Um,
wait. I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna say connection.
yes, it had to be because I was like,
Had to be.
where is it? Let me pull it up. But it had to be like a connection, or it was just so good. And you taught an awesome masterclass for my students on how to write your dream role. And oh, Emily, this is amazing. I just love everything you're doing. So share with us a
Thank
little bit about
you.
how we can connect with you, how talk about your podcast. Just brag on
Yes.
yourself here, Miss Emily Grace.
Thank you. So the podcast is new this year. I just launched it this year. I'm actually going to record episode 12 right after this.
Woohoo!
So um, it's called Film Broad. See?
Yes, see?
Yes.
So much
And you
better.
have to say it that way. That's how you have to say
Thank
it.
What am I
So
doing?
it's, have always had a love for old Hollywood and just like really interested in the beginnings of our industry and the players and the gossip and all of these stories and like the amazing gowns and just it's always been an era that has fascinated me, and I love to read the biographies. So I knew I wanted, and the name of my company is Pickford West Society, which was inspired by Mary
Yes.
Pickford and Mae West, two really pioneering women from old Hollywood whose legacy is still around today. And you can learn more about it in the podcast because I talk about them both, episode 1 and episode 2. So my company name that I picked like 4 or 5 years ago at this point was inspired by that era. And then I just got so busy, just like with the day to day operations. I never really had time to kind of incorporate old Hollywood into my branding and into my what I've been doing. So the podcast, I finally have a place to do that. So it's part screenwriting and producing tools. I focus it towards women. You don't have to be a woman to listen or to get value, but it's, you know, it's intentionally geared towards women who want to write and produce a script that they love. So it's part
Mhm.
practical tools and it's part old Hollywood history of these amazing women before Hollywood had a playbook,
I
like
know.
before even studios existed and before there was like first you get an agent and then an audition and meet a casting director. It's like before any of that existed, it was just kind of this wild west industry that people were figuring out as they went. And some of these women were just like incredibly prolific and powerful and had high level positions and started their own production companies like in the 1920s, 10s. So it's a really fascinating era. So I incorporate some of those stories into the other practical tools of like, how do you develop a character and what is 3 act structure and these screenwriting tools that you need. And that's on
Yes.
Apple and Spotify. You know, it's all the places where you can get podcasts. Um, and then the screenwriting superpower quiz is just like this fun quiz for you to take to get an idea of what of your natural strengths as a writer, and even if you've never written before, even if you don't know how to get started, that gives like helps you figure out what you're naturally good at and how you can leverage that as you get started or you know, wherever you're at in the screenwriting process. So there's the disruptor, which is what I am. There is the change
Oh,
maker,
I
and
see.
there's connection. Those are like the 3 results.
Okay. I'll
Um,
definitely connection then for
yeah,
sure.
I think you're definitely connection. That would be my guess. And then based on your results, you get like a customized action plan on what to do
Mhm.
next. So it's not just like a one size fits all. Here's your results, and everybody's the same. You know, it depends on what your result is in terms of what your recommended next steps would be to turn the idea in your head into this amazing script that you love and can produce and star in and share with the world.
Ah, so awesome, Emily. You know, I meet more and more actors that also have a love of screenwriting, and they truly all have a story to tell. I mean, I
Yes.
feel like you talk about just divine appointments and those alignments, Emily, and just the way I found you. You know, I was attracted to you because I'm reflect the dream and the dream role, but ever even since meeting you, I've just come across. I have 2 actors right now in my program, Emily, that I can't wait to introduce them to you. They want to write
Yeah.
their script, and it's like I just met another one last week. I'm like, this is just so. This is just so aligned. Like,
I love
yes,
it.
dreams come true, and even I'm hearing that word connector. Like, I am a connector because I don't need to know it all. I'm not an expert in
Yeah.
all the things. I used to
Same.
think I had to be, and that would put all this you know false pressure on myself. I'm like, I don't need to, guys. I have friends all over. I love to network, and so I'm gonna share you with my beautiful friend Emily Grace. And yes, I've been talking a lot about you. So,
Oh,
and
thank you so much.
you're so welcome, Emily. And I do love your podcast, you guys. She gives really practical tools that like someone like me, I can use, you guys, and they're really confirming as well for some of the tools I teach. Just the way you ask, like the look for the character's secret and just the things you do. It's so fun. And then the history behind it. It's so
Yeah.
fascinating,
So
Emily.
fascinating. It's
It's
so
just,
fascinating. Like
it really
I
is.
wish I could have a whole research team because we're just like week by week, like, hurry up, we gotta like let's go and research. And it's very quick.
Awesome.
It's so fascinating. And that's part of my next level dream is like to have a research team where we can go
Ooh,
much deeper into making sure, I don't know if we're factual or not. We're just like, this is what I read. Hope it's true. I don't know.
yeah, but
But that would
it's
be amazing just to have
mhm.
like a research team that could really go deep with that research, and enrich it even more because there's it's just like how many episodes can we do? There's like so many people to talk about.
Yes,
Okay, I
all
gotta rein it in.
yeah. I mean, all the females that really pioneered this while all the men were in the war. Like I was learning about that, and it makes so much sense. But then what happened? You guys, you're just gonna have to go listen
Yeah, go
because
listen, go
we don't have enough
listen.
time to summarize it. So, one last question I'd love to ask my
Okay.
guests. I always ask the first one, like, why the hell did you decide to jump into this crazy industry? And obviously, it chose her. She had no choice.
Right.
Which I find that to be true. I had no choice either. I don't even remember. I just remember putting on little plays and little skits on my parents' fireplace, and my mom always said I was her little actress, and it's just
Aw.
always been there. Um, but my podcast is called Successful and Sought After. And so I would love your take, Emily, on what does it mean to be successful to you? Like, how would you define it?
It's such a good question
I know,
because, we could look at the monetary aspect and like
right?
base it on that, but I
Yeah,
don't really think it's that.
no,
I almost feel like, it's unfortunate that it's so expensive just to like survive in the world that we live in because I
yes,
think so many people have to put their dream on hold just because they need to like afford rent and food. Like when you're in
yeah.
survival mode, you can't really expand and
You
grow.
can't really
So,
dream. Yeah,
yeah, so I think it's really unfortunate that it's such a financial struggle just to survive, like especially people in a market like LA, which is so expensive. Um, so if we don't look at it from the monetary perspective, I think success for me is when I listen to my intuition, when I have healthy boundaries in place, and when I'm making decisions out of love or desire and not from a place of fear. I
wow,
think if I have those three things in place, whatever happens is what happens. But if I'm aligned in that way, I think it's a success.
wow. Like I want to sit on that. Like that. Yes, making decisions out of fear. It just doesn't feel good. A lot of times when I think of that question, like what is success means for me, it's like it brings me back to what's working and what's not working. But ultimately, it's like what feels good and like what doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
And making decisions because you have to, or you feel obligated, or because you're afraid,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel good. So, like, but what feels good is this, meeting with you today, getting out here and waking up and doing what I love. I'm risking it all, going after my dreams, doing things that sound crazy that nobody else is doing. Maybe it doesn't make sense to anybody, but it brings me like this immense joy and excitement. And but then sometimes those things it's hard to say like what, but then maybe those start to not feel good, so I love what you said, Emily. Making those decisions out of love, making the decisions like what's captivating you, listening to your intuition now, because as you shared at the beginning, it may be totally different next year. Next year, you'll be like, oh, this is the year of danger. I'm going after danger
Right.
or something. And be like, so I'm successful because I did some risky things this year. I lived life on the edge. I'm like, wow, okay. So I love that. Great answer. I love asking that question because you know what? I find is that most people don't even talk about the money. Obviously that's
Yeah.
usually the idea, but that's not really what defines success to them. It's typically like going after their dreams, trusting themselves, believing,
Yeah.
reaching their full potential, something of the sort. So I love that. Yeah. Not making decisions out of fear.
Yes.
Woo, that's hard.
That can
So
be hard. Yeah.
yes, like I can go get a 9 to 5 job. I can go make money, but can I making decisions not out of fear, like making them based off how you feel because you want it, like that can be hard. That can be I feel like that's harder than going to get a 9 to 5 job. I can go get that now. So wow, Emily, thank you so much. This has been so you shared so many wonderful nuggets. Just there's so much goodness in this episode. I knew you would bring it. I had no doubt, Miss Emily Grace.
I always bring it.
Yes.
I'm not going to give a bad interview.
No, you do a wonderful job and you just made it easy for me. All right, Emily, well, I'm going to share all the goodies, all the ways to connect with you. If that's okay. All your
Yes, that would be
Instagram, your
amazing.
website, your podcast link, all that good stuff, guys. You've got to connect with her. She's just as genuine as she is in this podcast. She's always the same, you guys. So connect with her. If you feel inspired by this, connect with her, guys. Get involved. Be in her circle. Be in her atmosphere. Well, all right, Emily, have wonderful time of recording your episode.
Yes, episode 12 is coming up.
Amazing. Wow, she just started it this year. Back at it. Okay, well, awesome. Have a fantastic day, Emily.
Thank
and all
you
those
so much
listening.
for having me. It's been a pleasure.
You're so welcome. And all those listening, just go out there and reflect your dreams. So, all right, actors, see you next time.
Bye.